I think the climate change issue is very complicated. And
not really, no.
I think, did you see the Washington Post piece that they wrote? Essentially, they found that we're in a cooling period. The Earth, over the past X amount of years.
Give me the X amount of years. Don't
and
be
this
afraid.
is like a very inconvenient discovery.
No, it's not, because the amount of years he's talking about, by the way, is like 500 million years.
But they had to report the data, and kudos to them for doing that. Scientists have captured the Earth's climate change over the last 485 million years. Here's
485 million years. I find this to just be disingenuous, because absolutely the Earth goes up and down and climate change and whatnot. But in this cooling period we are in, which I'm sure we're in a cooling period relative to the last 500 million years, humans have evolved to be able to exist in the cooling period. Humans are about 300,000 years old, and modern humans are not. Obviously, we as a society have adapted through this cooling period to be able to survive. And so, yes, it's cool right now if you look at it from 500 million years, but we still have an impact on the temperature, on the climate in our cooling period, and we can raise the temperature and have a very negative impact on us as human beings. If we all die, the Earth will still survive and thrive with different organisms. But I find it interesting that he uses this data, which is fine, that goes across 500 million years. He's using 500 million years to be like, yes, this issue is like really complicated, because over the past 500 million years, we're kind of in a cooling period this last like 500,000 years. Isn't that fucking crazy? No, not at all. This information is almost completely irrelevant to any conversation that Joe Rogan has ever had in his life.
And you see, we're in a cooling period.
Wow.
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't read that article, but
yeah.
That article is irrelevant. The only person who would bring it up is somebody who was a massive conspiracy theory skeptic that was desperate to try to say that climate change wasn't a real thing. That's it, because it is an irrelevant statistic.
Scientists who are out there, I think.
I know, but there's a lot of money involved in that too, Bernie. That's part of the
There's
problem.
a lot of money apparently involved in pushing conspiracies too, Joe.
There's a lot of money involved in this whole climate change emergency issue.
I think that the narrative in many instances has been sensationalized. I absolutely would agree with that. That doesn't mean that it's not a serious issue. And it gets sensationalized in both directions. Conservatives don't believe climate change exists at all, and progressives in some instances will be like, oh my God, we're fucked in the next 4 seconds if we don't. And it's like, yeah, that's a little that's sensationalized. I agree. But that doesn't mean that it's not real.
They have financial issues that they push forward in order to capitalize on this issue, but then also power and control.
Sure, there might be a level of truth to that. Like a company that sells a lot of solar energy might be interested in sensationalizing the dangers of fossil fuels. I 100% agree with that. Also, though, the incredibly powerful, very well established, much more financially set fossil fuel industry invests a significant amount of money, more money, because they have more money and resources, into making you seem like it's not an issue. The problem is that like when Joe Rogan talks about this, he seems to be more sympathetic to the side of the conspiracy, and that's the problem. Joe Rogan means well, but like he is so fucking conspiracy brained, it's actually insane.